Senate Higher Education and Finance Policy Committee order. Today is Tuesday, March 8th. It's 1:05 p.m. The first thing on the agenda this afternoon is a presentation from the Center of Economic Inclusion. Who was our representative for that?
They're online. So it's
okay, they're online.
Isaac Russell and,
okay.
Andrea first.
With that, I'll turn it online over to Isaac Russell.
Mr. Chairman, committee members, thank you for taking the time to speak with myself. My name is Isaac Russell. I am the Director of Public Policy at the Center for Economic Inclusion. I am here with the lovely Andrea Furston, also from the Center for Economic Inclusion. And before I begin, I would just like to do just a brief introduction of who the center is. If we can, at this point, I'm going to share my screen. If you just give me a second here. Sorry, I'm having my computer is freezing up on me. My apologies.
Would you like me to see if I can share it, Isaac?
Yes, please. Thank you, Andrea. Greatly appreciated. So a little bit about the Center for Economic Inclusion. Forgive my technical issues. But the Center for Economic Inclusion is an organization that's dedicated to identifying some of the systemic racial inequities that are currently at play in our economy, and try to identify some ways in which we overcome that. The core of the Center for Economic Inclusion's work has been around business consulting. So what we do is we work with local units of governments. We also work with private businesses to help identify what are some of the internal obstacles that they have for some of their own self-identified equity goals, help them find what we call root causes, and then also help them identify some policies or give them some recommendations in which they can overcome that, and they can begin to meet their own equitable goals in a cost-effective way, understanding that they are businesses. We've also worked extensively on the workforce development and also the business development. Currently, right now, the center is in the process of launching an initiative that's designed to fund both workforce development and business development. So when we speak about some of the issues that we will mention in a second here, we're coming from it from the lens, from the place of economic development, this sort of workforce development. So Andrea, if we can go to the next slide, please. So I've already mentioned this a little bit, our approach, but we attempt to do what we call shared accountability. We foster that shared accountability. This permeates the work that we do when it comes to the businesses that we consult with. What is the sort of shared accountability within a business or within systems that does not dump the entirety of identifying obstacles, developing solutions, and implementing said solutions, on one person or on one area. This is our attempt to, again, understand that we operate within systems, and it's important to work within those systems, but it's also important to help everyone have accountability in changing those systems. I mentioned that we do work with public and private sector, the public and private sector, and we try to cultivate what we call an inclusive economy, inclusive regional economy. We understand Minnesota is large, it's diverse, and we attempt to work within diverse communities across the state to help foster this. Andrea, if you can go to the next slide, please. So when we identify policy opportunity, what this really comes from is some of the discussions that we've had with individuals that we work with, both on the policy side, but then also some of our own experiences that we've encountered on both workforce developments and business development, right? So this is conversations that we've had with those local units of government, with employers, and then also discussions that we've had with people who are attempting to train the workforce for today and for tomorrow. So based upon some of the conversations that we've had, we really identify that there is, kind of what we call the sort of talent shortage. So what we've researched is that Minnesota needs roughly about 3.2 million workers to keep on pace with, historic economic job growth. and we're about 239,000 workers short. So the total estimated amount of talent shortage that we have by 2025 is 317,000. We project that if we eliminate these disparities in unemployment or employment, we would have approximately 65,000 additional Minnesotans working by 2025. We see several key leakage points from our vantage point. Again, this is shaped by the position that we have that I've identified. Some leakage points in the post-secondary education that's preventing us from amplifying these goals and attaining better outcomes and closing some of these gaps that we see. So what we've identified and what we've researched is that approximately about 59% of all students of color enroll in post-secondary education annually, compared to 71% of white students. In addition, students of color are overrepresented in certificates and underrepresented in bachelor degrees and higher degrees than that. Second, 40% of post-secondary students of color drop out annually, compared to approximately 30% of white students. So what I would like to highlight and drill this down again for a better example, as given to us by the Federal Reserve. For instance, in 2021, as measured in 2021, high school graduates of the 2016 class, Native American, Black, Latino, and Latina students who graduated in that year, 38% of Native American students, 51% of Latina students, and 52% of Black students remained enrolled in their fourth collegiate academic year, compared to 68% and 71% of Asian and white students, respectively. Again, this was stated by the Federal Reserve, and what they identified was that much of these completion gaps can be traced to differences in this sort of college readiness. So the 2015 Minnesota legislature set an educational attainment goal to have 70% of the population between the age of 25 and 44 years old hold some level of post-secondary credential by 2025. To meet this 70% of post-secondary target to meet this 70% post-secondary target by 2025, an additional 121,425 degrees are needed than what current trends would actually project us to have. The Minnesota Office of Higher Education estimates that 70% of this 121,425 awards would need to come from students of color completing their studies. This means we have to address the sort of leakages that we find in the pipeline. And one of those that we've identified is sort of this developmental education system. Now, this is a bit of a rehash because you guys know this better than I do, but dev ed is sort of this term used to refer to programs offered by post-secondary institutions to prepare students for success in college level work. Remedial instruction, the term used by Minnesota law, can apply courses which repeat material taught earlier to a student if they did not adequately attain the college level readiness when they tested to come into college. For many educators, developmental education is a broader term encompassing pre-collegiate level education and other academic support services. The class of 2013 developmental education enrollees had 4-year completion rates ranging from 27% of the Minnesota State 2-year colleges to 32% at the University of Minnesota as compared to non-developmental education peers, which is 45 to 61%. Andrea, please, next slide. So one of the things that we've found in some of our research there we go. One of the things that we found in our research that has yielding some promising results is what we call a co-requisite model. And co-requisite remediation can really help students who would otherwise need to complete a sequence of developmental education remedial courses by having them simultaneously enroll in both college level courses and then also supplemental courses that provide them support. What we like about this is this provides the ability to tailor said support to the students, and it provides flexibility between institutions that allows them to better assess the needs of the student and, like I mentioned, better address those. So some of the provisional data that we have from a 2014 pilot study, which was a 2014 pilot study done in the state of Tennessee, has showed that the pass rates at college level gateway courses increased substantially under the co-requisite model. As we can see right here, the Tennessee Board of Regents implemented a 2-year pilot study in co-requisites remediation that began in 2014. And it was scaled up to include 11 out of 13 of their community colleges over 2 years. We like this because, as we've identified, students of color more likely attend these sorts of institutions. And again, that learning support structure can be shaped by the schools for semester-long support throughout the year. Can we go to the next slide, please? This is just a bit of a timeline, can people see this okay? So basically, just what this is as you see from 2006 to 2009, there was sort of a developmental studies redesign, but that period from 2014 in fall to 2015 in fall, you see that co-requisite pilot, and it lists the institutions that took place. And because this was successful, they allowed this to be implemented in different schools. They were required to develop and submit a sort of general co-requisite plan, but they were allowed a significant level of autonomy and flexibility in both how they decided they wanted to implement this and what were the particular things that they decided they wanted to implement. Because of this, they've seen some significant improvements in the performance of students. You go to the next slide, please. So students that were placed into the co-requisite remediation were 15 to 13 percentage points more likely to pass Gateway Math and English respectively. Students were also equally likely to enroll in any subsequent college level math courses and 8 percentage points more likely to pass the next level college courses. So what we saw and what was shown by this study, which was conducted by Columbia University, was that students were better able to succeed in this venue and that they showed the ability to continue on at higher rates, at least initially past this co-requisite model. It's important to understand that there are a great many things that factor into higher education completion, higher education attainments. This is but one way to get people ready at the front end. But this does suggest that this approach is scalable and it works very well with a broader set of reforms, which were also instituted in the state of Tennessee. Can we go to the next slide?
So I'll jump in here. This is Andrea Firsthand with the Center for Economic Inclusion. Thank you, Isaac, and thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. We wanted to make sure that in addition to talking to you about co-requisite remediation, that we're lifting up other key reform efforts. And so Guided Pathways is one of those key reforms that produces better results for students. It is a reform movement that aims to improve that college completion and student success by redesigning students' journeys through college. We have colleges within the Minnesota state system who are using this. It's really how do you scale and institutionalize this. And what I would say is that a number of studies indicate that early enrollment in a program of study and guided pathways produces higher levels of structure and support that lead to higher rates of completion. The move to multiple measures, another move that we've seen begin to take place within our Minnesota state system, but more so for young people coming out of high school into post-secondary, and really examining what this now looks like for adults. And so what I'd lift up is that there is a 50-state comparison report that came out in 2021, and a few things to kind of highlight there are that 33 states have a state or system-wide assessment and placement policy. 26 states have allow for the use of multiple measures in placement decisions. And these include things like GED, TABE, ACT, GPA, guided self-placement, work experience. And so really looking at what does that look like for us to institutionalize that for adult learners as well that are critical to our economy. And then the last one I would lift up is that 24 states or systems allow or require the use of co-requisite support. And so once again, lifting up that that's a key piece of how we are getting better results in systems in different states. You are likely familiar with the need for increased student navigation services and supports. We've seen some of this funding in the governor's budget. Just another key way that we get better results, particularly as students are coming into education, often needing to work, balance family family responsibilities and other challenges and that they're balancing. earn and learn models, something that we're familiar with. We've had dual training investments in our state, but just recognizing how do we really embed this and leverage this as a key means that not only works for students in terms of helping them acquire the knowledge and skills for today's economy, and in a way that really produces the best results for those learners, but also recognizing that this also gives employers the edge they need to find qualified job candidates through effective screening, selection, and recruitment techniques that these kind of models allow for. And then lastly, I just want to lift up the state grant, the increase not only in the investment, but also the flexible use of those state grants, moving from 8 semesters to 10 semesters to accommodate different learner needs and work life, but also more flexible use and eligibility for things like the shorter term credentials and apprenticeships and other types of training opportunities. And I will close and we'll, if you're interested in taking questions, we are done with our presentation. Thank you.
And just, well, one thing that I would just like to add as supplement, Mr. Chair, before we move to the question section, is that the reason that this is of significance to us is that we take a look at the data that's being presented in terms of income. And for us, when we take a look at that data with the people that we work with on the workforce development, the earnings based upon what people have for their degree, right? Whether or not they have that 4-year degree or whatever it may be, is significant. So for instance, for the median income for Black Minnesotans without a 4-year degree is $23,000 as compared to approximately $49,000 if they do. You know, as for instance, with white individuals without a degree, it's about $38,000 as compared to $63,000 if they do. And these sort of disparities are seen across the racial categories for Minnesotans. So when we take a look at this workforce development, and as we invest in organizations that attempt to get our workforce ready, these are some of the things that we see, and these are some of the areas that they've mentioned to us.
Thank you, Mr. Russell and Ms. Fursten. Questions or comments from any members? Seeing none, thank you very much. Next, we'll move on to the second item on our agenda, Senate File 3718. Before I do, I did come in a little late, so I do want to say it's a pleasure and honor to serve as the chair for Senator Tomassoni today because he cannot be here. So with that, we'll turn it over to Senator Bach, who is presenting the bill for 3718 on workforce development scholarships expansion. Senator Bach.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. The legislative assistant from this committee asked me this morning if I had ever been in front of this committee before, because the tradition of the committee was that a bill author bringing his bill for the first time would bring donuts for the committee. And I reminded her that that was a provision that I learned some 25 years ago from Representative Munger, because he had a provision just like that in his rules for his committee when I was officed across the street. And I don't have donuts because last year I was here with a bill also to help small colleges. And so I feel like I've been in front of this committee, even though last year it was by Zoom. But Mr. Chairman, if I get the opportunity to come back later this session to this committee, I promise I'll bring donuts for everybody.
Thanks, Senator Bach. We'll hold you to that.
Well, Mr. Chairman, Senate File 3372 just adds one additional occupational discipline to the workforce development grants that this committee considered back in 2017. It is an area of our economy with significant labor shortages, and we need to provide additional focus on that and incentive for people to consider construction careers. That's my wheelhouse, was my employment long before I got to the legislature. So with that, Mr. Chairman, I have one testifier, a builder to testify in support of the bill. You know, we're not going to outsource everything. There are some occupations that are going to happen here, and construction certainly is one of them. So I think it's there is a large cohort of employees in the construction industry that are baby boomers, because there was a large cohort of them that went into construction, like myself, getting out of college in 1976, and they're all moving into retirement. And unfortunately, the focus in our higher educational system and maybe among parents has been to send since that period of time, has been to send young people off to four-year degrees somewhere, oftentimes only to find that they maybe don't like the discipline that they took up but they don't have the training, the technical training necessary to focus back into the trades. So there's a great deal of retraining, I think, that happens as people that got four-year degrees discover that maybe this isn't for me, that maybe I'd be better if I did something with my hands. So creating some kind of a incentive to encourage people to enter these strategic areas, I think, is very important. And I count construction as one of those. And pleased to be here on behalf of Senator Tomassoni with his bill, and would appreciate the committee's support.
Thank you, Senator Bach. And to your testifier, Mr. Mcqueen, please introduce yourself, who you're with, and proceed with your testimony.
Good afternoon. My name is John Mcqueen. I'm with the Rochester Area Builders Association and I'm Vice President of the Builders Association of Minnesota. We'd like to thank Chair Tomassoni and Senator Bach for their ongoing leadership in promoting the construction careers. And construction, I've been in the construction business since I graduated from college in 1968. So, and I also graduated with a teaching certificate and never taught a day in my life. Went to work in the construction business. And the word construction is very important to be added to this, because nowadays the construction industry is a lot more scientific than we would think. We have people that are laying houses out with robots now. All your spreadsheets are very intricate in the construction business. It takes more than just a high school education. You just got to go out there and work. And the construction business has been good to me, and I've stayed with it. I'm kind of semi-retired now. I still like the people that I work with, and I'm very interested in the young people that are coming up. We need qualified workers, and this is one way to get them. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McGuinn. Members, questions or comments? Sarah Clawson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. McGuinn, you and I followed kind of a similar path. We graduated from college a year apart from each other. All 4 years I worked construction, but I made a different choice. I went into teaching and moved away from the construction trades, but I appreciate you being here today and those comments. I do have a comment, and I've tried to research this myself, but we still have time because this bill will be going to the Finance Committee. I've reached out to the Office of Higher Education and asked the question, we're adding a new workforce area to the bill. Might we need additional financing for that? And I think as we move this to the Finance Committee, that's an important point that we need to find out, because we want to make sure that we're adequately financing all areas that are in the bill, all the workforce areas. So I'll keep up on that, and we'll make sure that we have that information available. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Clawson. Other comments? Senator Bach.
Mr. Chairman, we all of us that are members of the legislature come from different backgrounds, different occupational areas. And I remember in my early years of being here, having come out of the construction industry as a carpenter coming here, I heard so many people around here talk about construction as not a real job because it was temporary. And for a long time, and I was one of the people that did what I could do to educate other members from other occupational areas that, no, these are real jobs. And just because you go from a project on one building and you finish it and you move to another one, doesn't mean you don't have a career. And it's taken a long time. And I really want to give some of the credit for that to the trades unions and their apprenticeship programs. They've done a very good job of bringing especially new members in to look at their apprenticeship programs, to look what labor and management do together and training the next generation of people. And more members of the legislature today, many more than, and it's been growing over time, now understand the construction industry better as an actual career, not just a job. It's a pretty remarkable career because I can drive around the Iron Range from Superior, Wisconsin to International Falls and look at drive-by buildings that I had a little hand in. So it's a pretty rewarding occupation when you get near the end and you start to think about, well, for my time in the workplace, what have I left behind? And it is a pretty rewarding occupation for people. And you got to be willing to work hard. And if you're willing to do that, it can be an incredibly rewarding career. So I want to thank the committee for their consideration.
Thank you, Senator Bach, and thank you for bringing the bill forward. And in my other profession as a real estate broker, I really understand the importance of carpentry, construction. And I think it goes back a little bit what I saw in 2008, 2009, we had a recession and things kind of stopped rolling the way they used to. And we saw a big decline at that time because the housing industry shut down and did so much. And do you have any comments about, that stopped a lot, now it's recovering a little bit, but does it go back to the pre-2008, 2009 levels at all, or are you still seeing it down quite a bit from there?
Well, I was around in 2008, 2009 too, and it was tough. It started to pick up now. The things that are hurting us now, of course, are, I guess, war, COVID, other things that we can't control. The price of lumber has gone up, skyrocketed. Some of that has to do with tariffs, some of it doesn't. It's just, it's still a very, very viable business. And there's a lot of work out there and we just don't have the people to do it.
Thank you. Any other comments? Senator Bach, any final closing, or Senator Goggin? Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to echo what Senator Bach said. I'm a project manager in my other day job. So I do all the paperwork and the meetings and everything else. And then I get to be envious and jealous watching the craft doing the actual implementation of the work. And when you see what they're capable of doing with the tools that they have and the education that they've garnered either through programs through the union halls or community colleges, it's amazing how they keep us out of the ditches when it comes to implementing projects. And it's, I'm envious of their ability to do that. My hands revolt when it comes to construction, so I had to use a pencil and a pen to get through life, but they do great work. And adding construction to the language in the statute is the right thing to do. It's a proud occupation to be in. I have a friend of mine that he does the cranes, and he's always taking pictures when he's up on the huge tall cranes, and it's just like, wow, okay. So but that's the comments I had. I think we're doing the right thing, folks, and let's get this done. Thank you.
Senator Putnam.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I've noticed that everyone else has spoken, so I feel obligated to. I feel like it's required at this point. But I do want to say and add my gratitude to Senator Bach for being here to promote a program like this. I've been working pretty closely with the builders in my community in central Minnesota. And every one of them talks so much about the need for young people to understand this as a career and to have an entry point into that career. We have tons of people who want jobs, and we have tons of jobs, but we don't have the path from one to the other. That allow people to develop not just a skill, but appreciation for an industry and a commitment to a career and a way of life. And so I applaud this program. I think it's a fantastic idea, and I'm really glad to see it. So thanks again, and thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Senator Putnam. Senator Bach, closing comments.
Mr. Chairman, nothing further to add. didn't have it flushed out like we really probably, where Senator Tomassoni wanted it to go relative to ALS research. So, Mr. Chairman, the result of that is a delete all amendment, the A2 amendment. So if we could adopt that to get the bill in the shape that Senator Tomassoni would like to have it.
Thank you, Senator Bach. Senator Goggin, would you wish to move the A2 amendment?
Proud to move the A2 amendment.
I understand the A2 amendment is an author's amendment. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion carries. Senator Bach.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I'm very humbled to be here on behalf of Senator Tomassoni to present this bill. You know, ALS as a disease was first diagnosed back in 1869. And over the years, so few people were afflicted by it that it just never attracted any research dollars because it was such a small number of people impacted. And finally, it got some attention in 1939 when Lou Gehrig was diagnosed with it, and it got a name that most of the public refers to the disease today as Lou Gehrig's disease. But still, because so few people have been afflicted, and at any given time, there's about 450 people in Minnesota that have this disease. About 2 people are diagnosed every week, about 2 people die. So that number's pretty constant. There's about 450 people in Minnesota on any given day living with this disease. And it's time to spend some money on research to figure out, it may be a very curable disease, but we just don't know because we haven't done the research to study it. And maybe not all forms of it are, but some of them, once we do some research, we might find that some of the people that are afflicted with this, that there may be a drug we can develop to cure this disease or prevent this disease. We know that some of it is genetic. So maybe there is some kind of preventative thing can be done, but we just don't know. So I'm very proud to be here today to request on behalf of Senator Tomassoni $20 million to go to research. And if you look at the amendment, it's not exclusive to the university. It's not exclusive to the Mayo Clinic. There is research going on in a number of places around the state. Matter of fact, Essentia up in Duluth and at the university here and at the Mayo, they're all participating in a trial program right now with a cohort of people in all 3 communities and sharing information back and forth with a different, quicker way to find out what the clinical results are by using multiple drugs at a time. So I think there's a lot that I didn't want it exclusively to any one institution because I want to make sure that we share all the best ideas. And I know Senator Tomassoni feels exactly the same way. We don't care where the cure or where we make improvements come from, if they come out of Duluth or out of the Mayo or out of the university, that people that have got the kind of research in the queue, we want to be able to advance that. So it's not specific to any one facility. So the Office of Higher Education would take proposals and then consult with the health department about which projects should get funded. You'll notice that this appropriation does not expire at the end of the biennium because I think it runs through the next biennium actually. And then there's a report required back to see kind of what have to the legislature annually so the legislature can review who's been receiving the grants, what kind of research they're doing, those kind of things. And it may well be that we find out we're moving the ball forward and the next legislature is going to want to put additional money into this. But it'll be very hard for the next legislature to make a decision about that unless we know kind of what has all been going on out on the ground. So that's the purpose of the reporting mechanism in here. And Mr. Chairman, that's about all I have to add. We've got some testifiers that can speak personally to the bill and to the need for the research.
Thank you, Senator Bach. Before we go to testifiers, I'd like to go to Senator Tomassoni would like to speak. Senator Tomassoni, the floor is yours.
Mr. Chairman, thank you for hearing this bill and thank you to Senator Bach for carrying the bill. Thank you also to Senator Housley for carrying a similar bill. Members, Lou Gehrig died of ALS in 1939. Little to no progress in finding a cure has been made since. This bill is a concerted effort to find a cure for ALS. ALS is a neurological disease that saps the strength from muscles and ultimately leaves chaos in its wake. In September, I was still driving and able to dress and feed myself. Today, I can't do any of them. The disease progresses differently in different people. Hopefully, this bill will go a long way to finding a permanent stop to any progression whatsoever. It may not happen in my lifetime, but the future needs to be full of hope that the next generations will be ALS free. Thanks to the co-authors and all the support everyone has given to me and my family all along the way. Thank you, committee members, and thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator Tomassoni. Even with technology, it's so great to hear your comments today. With that, I'm going to change it over or switch over to our first testifier, Chris Engler. Mr. Engler, if you could state your name and who you're with and proceed with your testimony.
Mr. Chair, members of the committee. I have ALS. Forgive me. I first talked to Senator Tomassoni and he told me, you know, I was watching the Wild the other day. They won in overtime and I'm crying. It's part of this darn disease. So please forgive me. I'm a retired basketball player, teacher, and lawyer, and I was diagnosed this past May. Just couldn't bring this finger over to this hand. I can now with the help of this hand, but I still can't. I thought it was arthritis or something. And so I went in, my doctor did all kinds of tests on me and ultimately sent me to a neurologist, and they came back with the dreaded diagnosis. So here I sit, very pleased with Senator Tomassoni and Senator Bach's proposed legislation. Nobody should have to go through this. I just met with somebody whose brother-in-law has the disease, much more advanced than mine, and he was basically told they can't do much for him. So he has to go home and with his family and just basically digress his condition. The motor neurons die, and pretty soon he'll be completely, you know, he won't be able to breathe, he won't be able to eat, he won't be able to speak. You heard Senator Tomassoni using new technology. It was shared with me that it's the type where you can look at on the keyboard, you can look at letters and focus on them and you can speak that way. So progress is being made that way. But I'd just like to read just a little bit here. That Senator Tomassoni and Senator Bach have honored my wife Karen and I by asking us to be involved in moving this bill forward. Thank you so much. The importance of this legislation cannot be underestimated, and in many ways it's designed to serve the very purpose of government, to help those who can least help themselves. As Senator Bach and Tomassoni mentioned, at any given time, 450 Minnesotans have this disease. Some die, some are recently diagnosed. We're all in different places. It's a very individualized disease. With Senator Tomassoni, it's much more aggressive. With the person I mentioned earlier, much more aggressive. With mine, it's moving up my arm, my left arm, and it's going to cross over. But when it's the bulbar type of ALS, it's much more aggressive. And that's what Senator Tomassoni is dealing with now. ALS is a very rare disease, and so government-funded research, clinic expansion, and caretaker assistance will help lead to prolonging the quality of life for ALS sufferers, leading eventually to a cure. The Minnesota legislature will lead the nation by passing this legislation and granting places such as the University of Minnesota and others to research cures for this disease. Again, Minnesota will continue to be a leader of medical innovation, which will benefit countless many. By helping providing funds for ALS clinics throughout the state, future ALS patients will be able to be diagnosed sooner and receive treatment to potentially prolong their quality of life. This legislation also recognizes the impact on the caretakers of those with ALS, providing funding for them too. We will have this disease have a very short window of time before it progresses and we slowly lose control of our bodies as our motor neurons fail and die. There's no getting back what we have lost to the disease at this time. Thus, time is of the essence, as every day more Minnesotans are diagnosed with ALS and help for them is needed. Thank you, Senator Bach, Senator Tomassoni, all legislators, ALS advocates, this committee, and Minnesotans for backing this bill.
Thank you, Mr. Engler. Next, we have Mr. Kent Herbeck. Mr. Herbeck, if you could go ahead and state your name for the record and proceed with your testimony.
Hi, everybody. Kent Herbeck. I don't want to get too close to the camera. Not too used to doing this. Former Minnesota Twin. Grew up in Minnesota. Been a big time backer with ALS. My father passed away back in 1982 of the disease, and I took it upon myself at that time to, as far as a professional athlete, a lot of guys take on different roles and try to help out in different way, different charity stuff. So I started out with the ALS Association because I knew nothing about it, and my father had been diagnosed with the disease. So started out having a golf tournament, trying to raise money for ALS. And at the time when my father was diagnosed back in 1981, he passed away in 1982. I think there was 6 people at the University of Minnesota in his support group, and that's all they had. There was no doctors giving him anything or nothing at all. I had heard about the disease because of playing baseball and knowing Lou Gehrig and what a great player he was and what it did to him, and took him off the baseball field because he could no longer play. And I watched my father go through it. Then in 1981, when I was called up to play in the big leagues and played first base in Yankee Stadium, was my first game where Lou Gehrig played. So kind of an ironic thing that I took this upon myself to hopefully find some sort of way to fight this disease, and fundraising was the way I went about doing it, with tons of help from my teammates from the Minnesota Twins and everybody around the league and all this and that. But I know we've had some different meetings at different things the other night with Senator Tomassoni at the banquet they had the other night, and Chris was there as well. And we've started up some pretty good fundraising events in Minnesota, working a lot. I think my golf tournament, we had 18 years. We did my golf tournament. I'm doing a fishing tournament up in Duluth for 27 years now. Our Blizzard snowmobile ride that we do up in Duluth has been going on for 24 years now. And we've maybe raised, in the last 38 years that I've been involved trying to raise money for this horrible disease, maybe $25 million or $20 million in the time that we've done all the different fundraising and walks and this and that with the ALS Association. We started up a chapter in 1996, kind of spearheaded that chapter back in 96 to take care of not only people in Minnesota, but North and South Dakota as well. And we have really tried to do a big part in helping people fight the disease, but really their families try to take care of different things that they needed to help the person that had the disease, which is, as I'm sure everybody will tell you, that's the hardest part about it. I know my father couldn't speak towards his death back in '82, and we started up a Herbeck Sing program with computers to help you talk, and it was probably the same machine that you heard Senator Tomassoni talk on the computer was something that we started here in Minnesota. So, but to get this bill passed, the amount of money that you start talking about, $20 million, I jumped on the wagon right away. Let me tell you, to hear that kind of money coming out, and for all the work that we've done, all the people, the hard work that everybody has done in Minnesota. And believe me, when you talk about ALS in Minnesota, people know what you're talking about because of the way that this state has grabbed onto it and tried helping and fighting, and to throw this bill out there and say, hey, let's do this. That's some serious spearheading going on there. And very happy and very proud to put my name on this bill and help you guys do whatever you can or need whatever you need to get this through. So thank you guys very much for listening, and I hope I didn't bore you to the death. And again, Senator Tomassoni, love you to death, man. Hang in there. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Herbeck. Next, David Walk. And Mr. Walk, if you could also state your name for the record and who you're with and presume with your testimony. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, committee members. For the record, my name is David Walk. I'm a professor of the Department of Neurology at the University of Minnesota. I'm the medical director of the University of Minnesota ALS Certified Treatment Center of Excellence. And my clinical practice is in caring for people living with ALS and other motor neuron disorders, as well as Charcot-Marie Tooth and other neuropathies. I'm grateful to you and to Senator Bach and Senator Tomassoni for the opportunity to testify in support of this legislation. As you heard, and as you know, ALS is a devastating illness. The need for better treatments is immediate. This legislation can be transformational. We believe that cures must come from knowledge of the cellular biology of the disease. In recent years, several cellular problems have been identified that may be treatable root causes of ALS. The research funding in this bill can help in many ways, and here's how we can help at the university. This can galvanize the extensive resources of a major public research university to accelerate the progress that we hope to see and need to see. The University of Minnesota, as you know, is a national research leader in muscular dystrophy, ataxia, Parkinson's disease, and also Alzheimer's disease. And with the help of the Stem Cell Institute, the Bach Medical Devices Center, the Center for Magnetic Resonance Research, the Muscular Dystrophy Center, the Genomics Center, we feel as though we can play a role in helping to accelerate progress in treating ALS. I want to focus or emphasize this basic science focus because scientists are beginning to get this disease into focus. And as I see it, the sharper our focus at understanding it, the better our aim at treating it. Scientific discoveries will lead to more clinical trials, and that's where our aim needs to be. These trials are designed to determine what works best to stop ALS. We look forward to working with health systems throughout the state to facilitate access to clinical trials to as many interested Minnesotans as possible, regardless of their background, personal circumstances, or geographic location. Finally, it remains important to expand research in and access to electronic aids and other interventions that remove barriers in daily life for people living with ALS and other physical challenges. Working alongside established programs of clinical research and care, and with the courageous partnership of people living with ALS and their families, the funding in this bill can help to unlock the biology of this disease and to design treatments that will improve and extend the lives of people living with ALS in Minnesota and throughout the world. I want to extend my gratitude and honor Senator Tomassoni for his service to the people of the Iron Range and to all Minnesotans. I again want to thank Senator Bach. Mr. Chair, I'm happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Walk. Any questions while he's at the stand? Otherwise, we'll proceed. And if you can stick around, we may have questions after that. With that, we'll go to Mayor Mcluskey.
Thank you.
If you could introduce yourself and proceed with your testimony.
Mr. Chair, I am David Mcluskey. I'm the mayor of Granite Falls, a position I've held for about 26 years. And I've served on our city council for 42 years. I was good friends with former state senator Gary Kubley, who was also from Granite Falls and who succumbed to ALS while in office 10 years ago this month. I was diagnosed with ALS approximately 2 years ago. I'll be 69 years old in just 2 days. I am very fortunate to have a slow progressing form of ALS, which, as you can hear, affects my speech. So please be patient with me, and feel free to ask me to repeat myself if you don't understand. It's no problem. I have a very close friend who was diagnosed with ALS approximately a year before I was, and he has progressed very far and is now totally disabled and being cared for by his wife at their home with the help of some friends, including myself and my wife. Our small town of Granite Falls, which has a population of about 3,000, currently has 5 people with ALS, which is significantly higher than any other statistical average. There is a huge need for more research about the causes of ALS and a huge need to find a cure for this most difficult of diseases. Finding a drug therapy that would effectively slow the progression of ALS would be a wonderful breakthrough. Finding a drug therapy that would reverse the effects of ALS in patients would be even better. As the previous eloquent speakers have all said, time is of the essence. We must fund research into this disease that is affecting ALS patients, their families, their friends, and their communities. I just want to urge the committee and all of the legislature to support this all-important bill and give a boost to research into the causes of ALS and to help find a cure. I also want to thank specifically Senator Tomassoni for his courage and insight on this bill and his amazing fortitude, and also to his good friend Thomas Bach, Senator Bach, has got very broad shoulders and is very capable of speaking up for Senator Tomassoni. My hats off to both of you for your work. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mayor Mcluskey. Appreciate it. Great testimony. It's a little ironic, I guess, to be able to be in Senator Tomassoni's chair today, not only to chair his committee. I'll go back a little bit. I joined the legislature in 2017 and became great friends with Senator Tomassoni. We shared a few stories when we first met to earn our trust with each other. And he has become a great friend who I love dearly, just as Mr. Herbeck said. Every family and every person serving with ALS or their families are all very important. But as we all saw a week ago at a Ranger party, to see the support that came out for Senator Tomassoni that night truly shows what he's done to the legislature. I know he's the most well-respected, well-liked, and loved legislator that I've seen in my 6 years here. So it's an honor to sit in this chair spot. We'll shortly turn it over to Vice Chair here shortly, but to be here for the testimony on this bill is so, so important. Senator Tomassoni and Senator Bach have done so many things for the range over the years. If we can only hope that this bill will do that much support for ALS, we will be very fortunate. So with that, I'm going to turn the gavel back. Okay, never mind, I will continue on. With that, I'm going to open it to comments from members. We have one more testifier. We have one more testifier, I'm sorry. Please come up, introduce yourself, and proceed with your testimony.
Mr. Chairman, sorry, Marianne Cuen from the ALS chapter is here locally. I'm Phil Griffin, representing them as the lobbyist.
No, we can take off, I think, unless some.
Please proceed.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. My name is Marianne Cuen. I'm the Vice President of Care Services at the ALS Association here in Minnesota. And obviously I'm here asking for your support of Senate File 3372. I know you've heard some of the statistics already, but just to share a couple more. We know ALS is a progressive disease. We know that it affects nerve cells in the brain and the spinal cord. We know that it ultimately will rob individuals of their ability to walk, talk, and eventually breathe. You heard from Senator Bach, 2 people are diagnosed every week and 2 people pass away every week from this disease. These are hard numbers to hear. We know 90% of those diagnosed have no known reasons. This is why we need this bill. We also know veterans are twice as likely to be diagnosed with ALS. Again, for reasons that are unknown because we don't have the research that's been put into it to figure it out. We know from our association that we served over 600 people living with ALS last year, providing them equipment. You heard Kent talk about the Herbeck program that he helped provide our chapter so we can provide that equipment to individuals so they can continue to communicate when their voice is no longer strong enough to do so. We know there's no known cure. We know that there's no way to reverse the damage that is caused by ALS yet, but we're optimistic. We believe with this research, we can get closer to finding those answers. We also know it's been 150 years since ALS was first discovered. You think about other drugs or other, diseases that have been around that long. It shouldn't be that we only have 2 treatments available to slow it. So we also know, I think you guys may have heard about the ice bucket challenge that happened a couple of years ago. We've seen real benefits when people take the effort to put research into this disease. We have 5 new genes that have been discovered. We have 3 new antisense drugs that have been developed. We have seen the momentum that happens when people commit to putting the research dollars in. We also know it is not inexpensive to bring a drug to market. Estimates are between $1 and $3 billion from the time you start research until you actually see it coming to your prescription, to your pharmacy. But we know the funding in this bill would be transformational in terms of the research that can be conducted. We know that people living with ALS don't have the luxury of waiting. So we thank you all for your support. We know how important this is, and from everybody that we serve in the state of Minnesota, on behalf of all those living with ALS, their caregivers, their family members, we can't thank you enough for your support, and we are here if you have any questions about this disease or what we can do. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cuen. With that, we'll go out to members, or Senator Bach, would you like any other comments before we go to members?
I can close, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you, Senator Bach. Members. Senator Clawson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Well, it's been almost 30 years since we lost my brother-in-law, my wife's brother, from ALS. And the problem we experienced during that time was the diagnosis of it. For months, it seems like weeks, we couldn't find out what the problem was. And eventually he landed in a nursing home, but he had served in the submarine service. And my wife researched that. Was it something during his naval experience with the submarines that he came in contact with? Then he was an engineer with Sperry Unisys, and he worked on naval defense systems. So he was involved in going on a lot of ships and installing these weapon systems and so on. Was it something from his work? He was a hunter, deer hunter. Was it something, maybe a wasting disease that he came in contact with? So we spent weeks, and it seemed like months, trying to decide with doctors, working with them about what exactly was the ailment that he was having. And eventually it was ALS, and that's what he passed away from. So from our experience, I just really hope that, and it sounds like that a lot of advances have been made about diagnosing and early diagnosis and working. So I really support this bill, and it is something that is a great tribute to Senator Tomassoni, who is a friend to so many of us. So thank you.
The members, Senator Goggin.
Yeah, sorry, I have a cousin, 7 years. It's debilitating to see what they go through, what their family goes through, what their friends go through, what their caregivers go through. And I just want to say, young Patrick, we're here for you. So I just want to thank everybody for all the hard work you've done. I want to thank Senator Tomassoni. He's a great friend. Senator Bach, thank you. And I just want to say that I'm 100% on board with this bill. So thank you.
Thank you, Senator Goggin. Senator Bach, I have one question, and I mentioned to you earlier, and I agree with, you've had discussions with Senator Tomassoni on his University of Minnesota expanding that. And one of my questions is if we're going to expand that out, I just want to make sure it's somewhat of a coordinated effort, so that that each individual institution is not working in silos. So we're really working together. So have you looked into that any further of how we can coordinate that, so that, again, $20 million is a lot of money, but if you silo that out, you can sometimes duplicate efforts. So have you checked in anything on that, on how we can coordinate this to make sure that it's coordinated and we're not duplicating efforts? Senator Bach.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I talked with Senator Rosen about this because I'm still not 100% sure we have this exactly right? And I know Senator Tomassoni wants this exactly right so that we get the best outcomes we possibly can. And a coordinated approach is something both him and I certainly support. So what I had a conversation with Senator Rosen about is we move this forward today. If there are words we need to add to make sure that we get the most synergy between people doing the research, we all want to have that. So if anybody has ideas on how to improve this bill, Senator Rosen has agreed, even though bills aren't normally amended in finance, that she would be willing to take amendments in finance to get this exactly in the position where we get the most synergy of all this research between different grant recipients. So I'm looking forward to people's ideas. If we can find a way to improve this, that's something we certainly want to do between now and Thursday. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, Senator Bach, closing comments.
Well, Mr. Chairman, Minnesota is an innovative state, very innovative state. We've got a very creative people here, and some of you know, Minnesotans have invented a lot of firsts. Minnesotans invented water skis and rollerblades and Post-it notes and sandpaper. And we made a significant contribution to the health of the world with Minnesota's medical device industry, with things like pacemakers and defibrillators. Wouldn't it be amazing if Minnesota became the place we fund a cure for this disease? Wouldn't we all be proud? And it really starts here, right, with Senator Tomassoni's courage, because I will never forget the day. And David had been, last session, David had been doctoring on Fridays because he was having trouble with his left hand. And I remember him telling me I have to lift my hand up to shave and I can't fold my collar down. And we kind of joked a little bit, geez, this getting old is tough. And so every Friday when he'd go home, he'd go to the doctor, and it was weeks and weeks. And Monday morning, I'd ask him, you know, did you find anything out? And I will never forget the day when I walked across the suite into his office and I said, well, what did you find out Friday? It was last June. And he said, Tom, I've got ALS. And he said something I'll never forget. He said, I'm not afraid of dying. He said, I'm afraid of what I have to go through to get there. So this bill, I hope, leads to the research that somewhere down the road, the next person that gets diagnosed isn't told there's nothing we can do, but is told that there's some hope. And I can't remember ever testifying on a bill more about hope than this. And my heart goes out to Senator Tomassoni for what he's going through. And I think looking around the committee table, I think I'm the only one that served with Senator Kubley when he went through this as a member of the state Senate. And he represented, I fondly refer to the mayor of Granite Falls as Smig, because his last name ends in ski, and there's too many letters between S and ski for me to pronounce it. So those of us that have known Smig when he was the editor of the newspaper and longtime mayor of Granite Falls knew that him and Gary Kubley, who represented Granite Falls, were close friends. And his testimony does remind me, is there something environmental about this? That the per capita number in a town like Granite Falls is what it is, right? Or is there something related? We have too many professional athletes that are coming down with this. Is there something in their profession that there are disproportionate numbers of people afflicted? All answers we don't have, or all questions we don't have answers to right now, that hopefully this kind of research can lead us down a path to answer some of those unanswered questions. So, Mr. Chairman and committee, I deeply appreciate, and Senator Tomassoni appreciates us really moving this to finance, so that, and hopefully leadership's willing to take it up, and we can have a standalone bill signing ceremony so that other people that are afflicted will know that maybe it won't help them because they've already been diagnosed, but there's some hope for future people diagnosed, that they won't suffer the same kind of hopelessness in dealing with the disease. So thank you, Mr. Chairman, and to everybody who's testified, and to Chris and others who are been afflicted by this. Thank you for your courage in helping us move this forward. I have learned here in my time, the things that feel best that we do are when you do something for somebody you don't know. And that's what this is. And that's what Senator Tomassoni is proposing, to help people that he doesn't know. And I think as you move, the longer you're in the Senate, you move to retirement, the more that starts to mean to you. Have I done anything that is going to make life better for somebody, and somebody I don't know. I think that's, and we get an opportunity to do that in big and small ways. And this might seem like a small way today, but we might look back on this 10 years from now and say that this was a remarkable move, that the state Senate initiative that we move forward today. We just don't know, and we won't know until we get into it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator Bach. And I know you've been a good friend of Senator Tomassoni's much longer than I have. I'm sure it's 30+ years. But if it's 30 years or 6 years, or if you met him last month, Senator Tomassoni has that effect on people. He is a true, genuine individual. So thanks to Senator Tomassoni, Senator Bach. I know this has been an emotional testimony for all of us because it's someone we love. There's no doubt. I think I speak on behalf of everyone here in this whole facility that we love Senator Tomassoni. So this will be a great bill to proceed. Senator Tomassoni, would you like any comments before we move your bill? Just want to clarify, I thought we had him unmute, so I thought he wanted to say something, so I want to make sure. There he is. Go ahead.
Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Tomassoni. With that, Senator Herbeck, would you like to move the bill? Senator Herbeck moves Senate File 3372 as amended be passed and forwarded to Finance. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee.
Thank you, Senator Bach, and all testifiers. With there being no other items on the agenda, we are hereby adjourned.
Did you?